Everyone. Today we're going to discuss another interesting topic, and that is a little bit more specific. If you're neurodivergent, disabled, autistic, ADHD, living with chronic illness, or struggling with mental health, and you have lived your life feeling like you're constantly falling behind, then this is for you. We live in a world that often punishes difference. It punishes minds that work differently, bodies that move differently, people who need more rest, more support, people who communicate differently, people who survive differently. And when a system is built around such a narrow definition of what success, productivity, and normal should look like, anyone outside of that gets treated like a problem to fix. So consequently, employment becomes harder, education becomes harder, healthcare becomes harder to access, even like basic well-being can be very difficult to achieve. And not because we're less capable, right? Because the world often demands that we perform life in a very specific way. And if we cannot do that, we get labeled as lazy or difficult or unreliable, dramatic or sensitive, or somehow not enough. And that could extend to and keep happening for years, basically. It does change fundamentally, though, the way that you see yourself. It makes you believe that you're really the problem. And for a long time, I did believe that too. For most of my life, I genuinely thought that I had nothing valuable to offer. I struggled with jobs, I struggled with stability, struggled with simply keeping up, like functioning, existing. And when you spend years surviving like that, you stop asking yourself, what am I good at? And you start asking, why am I bad at everything? So that was me for a long time, and I felt like I was constantly behind everyone else. Life was happening for other people, but not for me. Like I was trying to uh, build something, and it was constantly falling apart, and just watching other people um, building their own future while I was just trying to survive. And when you live like that long enough, hopelessness starts to feel normal. And honestly, I think hopelessness is one of the hardest states a human being can be in. Because when you feel hopeless, you feel the least alive. You stop dreaming, you stop planning, you stop believing there's a place for you in the world. And that feeling could be dangerous because when people are in that place, they're not looking for ambition first. They're looking for even the tiniest reason to stay emotionally alive, and to believe that things might eventually get better. And sometimes that reason could be very small. It could be a conversation or a hobby or a random video or a person who says the right thing at the right time. And there could be just enough hope to keep hanging on. And that really matters because before growth, before success, before careers, before achievement, we need hope, we need safety. And especially for neurodivergent and disabled people, because many of us are not only struggling with access, but we're carrying also trauma from education, from employment, from being misunderstood or punished or bullied, excluded, shamed, dismissed. The list goes on and on. So sometimes school did not just challenge us, it injured us. Sometimes work did not just exhaust us, but it did harm us too. And sometimes healthcare did not help, but it made us feel invisible. And when people say just try again, uh, they literally forget that sometimes trying again feels like touching a burn wound, right? It's sometimes healing has to come before growth, and safety has to come first before ambition. And that could be the real work to rest, because people do not grow well in survival mode. People do not discover themselves while drowning. And sometimes the first step is not achievement, but it is support, it is distance from harm, permission to stop measuring ourselves through systems that keep wounding us. And only then there is enough safety to breathe where we can ask ourselves again, what makes me feel alive, what feels natural, what is mine, not impressive or profitable, but more so um, what comes to us more naturally. And for me, that was IT and software and problem solving. And the thing is, what surprised me most, it was that I almost missed it because it didn't feel special. It just felt so normal and natural. Um, so this is why, that's exactly why I couldn't recognize it necessarily as strength, because things that we feel naturally good at often do not feel impressive from the inside. They just feel like just being ourselves. And especially that I spent many years focusing only where I struggled, that I never noticed where I was actually strong. And then I realized something important, that what feels ordinary to you might be extraordinary to somebody else. So the way your brain works might be exactly what creates your strengths. And for me, learning technical systems, understanding software, solving problems, it often took less effort, not more. So I had spent so long comparing myself to others in areas where I struggled that I never stopped to actually notice where I was actually built differently in a good way. Um, and I think that many neurodivergent people do this. We spend so much time trying to survive, and being constantly reminded and punished for our weaknesses, that we never get the chance to really discover our strengths. But I also want to say something important, that finding your strengths should not come from competition. It should not come from proving your worth. It should not come from trying to finally be good enough to other people. Because if your motivation comes from comparison, achievement, or external approval, it becomes another prison. And especially for people who are already exhausted from performing acceptable humanity for everyone else. And real strength is not built from comparison. It is built from connection, from curiosity, from something inside of you saying, this matters to me. And if trauma has made something hard, if you found something that you loved, but pain made it difficult to continue, know that buried is not gone. Sometimes trauma can hide things, survival can cover them, fear makes us forget ourselves, but buried is not gone, and you're still there. Your life is still there, and there is no universal timeline for finding that. The world teaches us that there is, for example, study by this age or succeed by that age, build by this age, or, but life is not a race with a finish line, and you're never late, you're never behind, you are alive, and that is different. We do not begin to matter only when we become productive. We do not become real only when society approves of us. And we do not stop being meaningful when our bodies are tired, sick, struggling, or old. Existence is much bigger than performance, and worth is bigger than productivity. Human life is bigger than capitalism. So we're all doing our best inside systems we did not choose. And until the planet does become more humane, until education becomes safer, until work becomes kinder, healthcare becomes accessible, and difference is no longer punished, then we do have to do that work ourselves. We have to protect each other, to create safety, to learn who we are underneath survival, because the world may not hand you your permission to exist. And sometimes you have to give that permission to yourself. And this is that weakness, uh, that is resistance, survival, that is being a human being. And if you feel hopeless, if you feel left behind or forgotten, or maybe like life is happening for everybody else except for you, hopelessness is not a proof that you have no future. And sometimes it is simply the result of being hurt for too long. And the problem is not you. Sometimes the environment itself is injuring you. If you have not found your place yet, please do not assume that it doesn't exist. Sometimes it might take years. Sometimes healing comes first. Sometimes rest comes first. Sometimes survival takes everything for a while, and it doesn't mean that your future is gone. It means that you're still becoming. So keep looking, keep exploring, keep trying strange things, keep paying attention to what feels natural, what feels good, because your strengths often hide inside the things that may feel too ordinary to even notice. And sometimes those very things that made you feel different are the things that are helping you to build your life. You're not less, you're not behind, you're not broken. You may simply be trying to bloom in a place that was never designed for you. And that doesn't make you a failure, it just makes you human, and your life is still waiting for you. So thank you so much for listening. I hope that was helpful, and take care for now.